Hey, everybody, this is Jamie here from Live in Rebellion, and I am here to talk today with Dr. Lisa Walker, who is an incredibly accomplished woman, executive coach, speaker, and author. She has an impressive and all too rare combination of skills and palpable positive energy. She's also the founder of Dr. Lisa Walker Consulting, master certified coach, which is just one of her many credentials with over 25 years of experience. She's also a mother, a mountaineer, a Spartan beast, obstacle competitor and gardener, and a keynote speaker at Live in Rebellion, opening our event on Wednesday, September 22nd, which is the day focused on personal strength and resilience. She's going to talk to us about living beyond your limits. Dr. Walker, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for being here.
Oh, Jamie, it's my delight to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So I'm curious. I hope that everyone listening is curious too. I would love to hear your thoughts on, are most people living lives to their full potential? And if not, what have you seen that keeps us from really living up to or beyond our limits?
Yeah. Well, sadly to say, most of us are not. And there are days, myself included, when I've got to pause and assess. And Lisa, did you do your best? Did you lean in as far in as you could to make today the best day ever? And there are times when the answer is no. There are times when it's absolutely not. And if I'm one of those who's always focused on living beyond your limits and pushing yourself to be the best you can and have the greatest impact, I imagine that so many others are not. A lot of the folks that I work with are so far away from giving their best and showing up at their best. And quite often, we self-sabotage, whether it's because we're clinging on too much to fear, or we underestimate what it is that we can do and what we're here to accomplish. Oftentimes, those are a couple of the things that are holding us back. Additionally, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and our value and our worth and how far we can go and what's available for us to leverage to go even further, those stories can trip us up and prevent us from living beyond our limits.
Yeah, that's very true. How are some of the ways that we can tap into being able to live beyond our limits more often? I think you make a good point that even knowing everything you know and teaching and guiding others on this, and it can be really hard to live that from day to day. And that's probably because we shouldn't, maybe in some ways. It can be inauthentic if we're always pushing ourselves. When things happen, it's okay sometimes to step back and just be with those other feelings, when tragedy strikes or something difficult happens. But how can we tap into that energy of living beyond our limits more often?
Yeah. So for me, one of my number one go-to tool is others. We can do so much more together with others than we can do alone, which is what you are doing with this platform, right? You're bringing so many of us together where we can draw energy from, we can learn from, we can be mentored by, we can be influenced by others who are showing us the way, who are saying, here are some of my obstacles that I have either gone through, been over, gone around, dug a hole through, however we have pushed through, or even leverage those obstacles and challenges. Here are some of the things that I've done. Here are a couple of tools from my toolbox that I want to share with you, show you, invite you to figure out how to put those tools in your toolbox so we can go further. I think of when I shared with you my story of some of this crazy stuff that I like to do, my intense hiking and mountaineering and stuff. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that much of what I do, I could not and cannot do without the people around to, first of all, inspire and motivate, and also to give me the practical guidance and skill set and know-how to go where I need to go. So I say, show me your company and I'll show you where you're going. Or you show me where you're going because of the company we're keeping and the energy and strength that we're drawing from those around us.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's true. We need others to help push us forward, to show us the way. We can't always be strong on our own. And it's just so much nicer to have guides that can push us forward.
Yes, we can do so much more together than we can ever do alone.
Absolutely. If you're open to it, I'd love for you to share a little bit of your story of this hike in Mount Kilimanjaro.
That was an adventure of a lifetime. So Kili really came out of a mishap. So I was preparing for a beast, which is one of the tougher Spartan races. I think it's like around
So
13 to
amazing.
15 miles and with about 40 something obstacles. And these are amazingly intense, inviting and scary at the same time obstacles. You're scaling 12-foot walls, you're hoisting your body across a pond, you are crawling under barbed wire an inch away from your back in mud, that kind of scary stuff. With honestly, I'm not an athlete. So prior to my adventure into boot camp and Spartan race, I didn't even like to sweat, much less to be in mud and scaling 12-foot walls. So here I was preparing for a beast, and my husband and I were on a rough off-road bike trail running along. And I think I was feeling a little bit too good about myself. The thought crossed me, we had just dropped our daughter off at the airport to fly back to Philly to school. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if we could finish this trail, which is probably going to be doing about 15 to 18 miles before Chrissy got to her next stop before heading to Philly. And that was a thought that went through my mind. So, and within seconds, I found myself elevated. I had tripped on a twig, a tiny twig, tripped on a twig and went crashing on these rocks. My knee went down. I tried to break the fall and my shoulder got involved. And so I ended up, my husband Peter had to pick me up off the trail and take me to the emergency room. So there I was, messed up shoulder. After a couple of months of treatment, my doctor said to me, Lisa, I'd strongly advise that you not do another Spartan race this year, because while your knee is now in good shape, your shoulder is not. And we have to do so much upper body work in a Spartan race. So I thought, are you kidding me? And somehow out of the blue, Kilimanjaro came in my mind. And I had done a little bit of research before to say, and I remember that it's not one of those tough technical climbs like Mount Everest or something like that. Still a tough trek, but it's not like Everest. And I thought, we could do Mount Everest. So I said that to Peter one evening. I said, you know what, babe, let's do Mount Everest together. And he was like, whoa. And I said, well, I'd love for you to do this with me. If you're not able to, I'd love to go with a group and I could do this with a bunch of women, but I'd love for you to be with me. The next morning he woke up and he said, yes, let's do this. So we started backpacking every weekend with 20, 30 pounds on our back on the roughest terrain we could find in Austin, preparing for this. So after months of preparation, there we were at Kili. And it was, again, an amazing experience of a lifetime. 7 or 8 days on the trail, the last night, summit night, as they call it. Okay. We got to base camp early that day, but now you're close to 19,000 feet. You're exhausted. The air is thin. We had some of the worst weather you can imagine. I think they had the worst snowstorm in about a couple of decades. So even the guides and the porters who were taking care of us on the journey had never seen that kind of weather before. So this was all new to all of us. In fact, that night, as we hunkered down and tried to get some sleep before getting up to prep for leaving for the summit, every 20 minutes or so, you heard the porter outside hammer, trying to keep our tents on the ground because the wind was like a monster. The wind would pick the tents up off the ground. And there we were trying to rest. There was no rest. We got no rest. And by 11:30, we had to be up and we had to be dressed. So I put on my 6 layers and layers of thermal wear, stuff that I could peel off if I got, as I got warmer.
If you needed, right, yeah.
Right. So I had hand warmers and glove liners and the best glove they recommended and feet warmer and everything. 6 layers of clothing heading out. I remember walking.
I don't know how you walk in that, first of all.
Oh my gosh. So I remember feeling when the leader of the expedition, Kibacha is his name, this amazing leader, and he checked us from head to toe, make sure our light's okay, or balaclava covering our face, everything is in good order, that all our gear is in good order. And I remember feeling this, having this experience, either like I was walking the plank. Here we are in the dead of night. It's so scary. You haven't slept. You're like, oh my gosh, you're excited and scared all at once.
Yeah.
So I'm either walking the plank or I'm heading to get Holy Communion. I couldn't figure out which one.
That's interesting. It was very important for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And that night, the wind was against us. The weather was intense. The wind was just howling and blowing. The ice was pelting. But there we were headed to the summit. So we left base camp at midnight. The intention is to get to the summit by sunrise, 7:30 in the morning. Well, as I went for after a few hours, maybe about 4 hours or so of hiking, I started noticing that the lights ahead of me were getting quite dim. And I thought, keep trying to hustle up, Lisa. But no matter how I hustled to try to go fast, you can't go too fast. In fact, for the entire trek, they kept reminding us, pole pole, meaning slowly, slowly in Swahili. So you're going an inch at a time. So I'm trying to shuffle my inches, maybe an inch and a half at a time. But the lights kept dimming and I couldn't figure out what was going on. When we got to the last rest stop, by this time you are exhausted beyond measure and you can hardly breathe. My breathing is labored because the air is so thin. And I said to Peter and to Charles, my guide, what can you guys see? Can you guys see anything? And they're like, yeah, we're fine. Charles reached up, he fixed the light on my forehead and he said, that should be good now. And I said, but I can't see anything. And immediately we all realized, oh my God, Lisa's blind. I can't see. I can't see a thing. The only reason I knew that he reached up to fix my light is I felt the pressure of his hand on the light on my forehead, but I couldn't even see his hand. Now I'm crying like a baby because as I'm realizing that I'm blind, I've also for the last few hours been feeling like my fingers, I've never felt such pain in my life. I've had 2 babies. I've survived their teenage years and I've never felt that kind of pain. Never felt that kind of pain. My fingers, oh my gosh. So Charles stuck a hard candy in my mouth because I had tried to get water from my pack, but the water was frozen and I was now belligerent. He gave me a hard candy and I don't know if it was a sugar or whatever, but in a moment, I remember that on rare occasion, mountain climbers can go blind temporarily. So I hung on to the word temporarily and we decided to go and made it to the summit. Made it to the summit and it changed my life. And I now know without a shadow of a doubt that anyone can live beyond their limits, anyone. So I take that into organizations I serve and anyone I have the opportunity to have a conversation who wants to know how and why I do what I do. I share this as part of my story as to why I so earnestly believe that we all have it in us and we need to do the work to pull that out of us to figure out how to get beyond whatever may be limiting us, whether it's internal limitations or external limitation. So whether I'm in the corporate world or I'm working with a bunch of women or my community, that's my story, that's my message, that's part of my story and my message that I use to fuel the fire so that we can make the kind of impact that we need to make in order to live the lives we're brought here to live.
Oh man, I am so thrilled about you and who you are, what you're doing, and that you're going to speak about this more in detail at Lemon Rebellion. There are so many, I think in your book, you told me you bring out so many of the metaphors of this experience of climbing into your work and helping people live beyond their limits and become more resilient. I'm really thrilled about having you at Lemon Rebellion. I can't say it enough.
I'm excited. I'm excited to share the simple but powerful framework that now not only has it helped me, but helps thousands of the folks I work with to have a simple framework in mind about how we approach these challenges, these potential obstacles, and how we can even leverage these obstacles to accomplish our goals.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's awesome. I can't wait, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you so much again for sharing who you are, for the work that you do, and for being part of Lemon Rebellion. I'm thrilled to have you. So again, if you listen, this is Dr. Lisa Walker, and she's going to be talking about living beyond your limits. I'm bringing in a lot of the elements that she just discussed about her experience on climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and we really appreciate you listening, and come to Lemon Rebellion. It's September 19th to the 25th. Lisa is one of over 35 incredible women speakers, coaches, wellness practitioners that are coming together to create this experience for you. So again, Dr. Walker, thank you, and can't wait to see you at Lemon Rebellion.
Thanks, Jamie. I'm so excited. Looking forward to being there with you and the rest of the amazing women. Thanks again.
Thanks. Bye.